I haven't in 3 years, I just found out why, and I am terrified. It was nearly a week before I first realized that I had not gone no too. I didn't think much of it at the time. I had no pain or discomfort from it, so I wasn't worried. My girlfriend Sarah had just broken up with me. Her dad had to take a job on the other side of the country, and she said she didn't want to do the long distance thing. I was devastated. I barely ate for days, so I was sure it had something got to do with that. About a week later I came home, and my mom started quizzing me about my toilet habits. I was 17 at the time and living at home in the attic with my own private bathroom. She was one of those moms with absolutely no boundaries. She often walked in on me while I was in the shower just to ask me what I wanted for lunch. She was obsessed with homeopathic medicines. She was constantly telling me things like, "You have dark circles under your eyes, son. You must be anemic. Take some of these. Or you are not eating enough fruit. You are gone as pale as a ghost over it. I got something for that." When it came to my bowel movements, she was not shy to ask me anything, I am ashamed to say. She had noticed that I was using a lot less toilet paper and became worried about me. It was such an awkward conversation, and she wouldn't stop until I told her the truth. When she found out how long it had been, she freaked out and rushed me to the hospital. You would swear I was having a heart attack. I tried to make her understand that I was fine, but her being such a hypochondriac, she probably thought I was going to blow up or something like that. She was in such a panic that she drove off without me. She was halfway down the block before she realized. When we finally got to the hospital, I nearly died when she pushed past everyone in the queue and started explaining to the nurse about my bowel movements. Might I add, she has a tendency to shout when she is stressed. I could hear people laughing and sniggering from everywhere. At that point I wished I did get a heart attack. Even though it was really busy, it did not take long for them to see me. I suppose that was only to shut my mom up. She was causing a scene and constantly asking where the doctor was. They brought me into a room to wait. A few minutes later the doctor came and started asking me questions, but my mom kept jumping in and answering them before I got a chance. Eventually he got annoyed with her and asked her to wait outside. I was so relieved. I thanked him when she left. When he examined me, he couldn't find any problems. He said I had no swelling or pain that normally comes with constipation, so he was baffled. I think he thought I was lying about it. But he sent me for an ultrasound just to make sure. They found nothing wrong with me. There was no blockage. In fact, the doctor used the phrase, "as clean as a whistle," to describe it. He told my mom since he couldn't find anything wrong with me, he had no choice but to send me home. Which did not go down well with her, and she demanded them to give me something to treat it. Just to keep her happy, he gave me a mild laxative and said if that didn't work, I had to go for a colonoscopy, which did not go down too well with me. That night I thought that there was no way I would ever go back there again, unless I really needed to. Besides, the doctor said I was healthy, and I had 0 symptoms, so what would be the point? The next day, to keep my mom happy, I told her that I had gone, which seemed to satisfy her. But she kept a close eye on me after that. So, I started going in and sitting on the toilet every morning to make it look more believable. It became part of my morning routine, until I moved out a year later. I didn't have to sit on any toilet after that. It was great. Never again would I have to go into a public toilet and sit down on that disgusting seat. I will tell you this, I don't miss the smells, plus I must have saved a small fortune on toilet paper. I had nearly completely forgotten about ever making a number 2, until my girlfriend moved in with me about 3 months ago. Sarah had moved back into town about 6 months before that and we reconnected straight away. We have been dating ever since. I never told her about my condition, and I don't think she suspected anything, even though she often complimented me for keeping the toilet so clean. But she did notice that I had a slight swelling on my lower abdomen, which had been growing over the previous months. I probably should have gone to the doctor, but to be honest I was still a little traumatized from the last time, so I decided to wait and see what happened. I convinced her it was a hernia. I told her I always had it and it comes and goes, which she believed. I know I shouldn't have lied to her, but I couldn't exactly tell her the truth. She would have forced me to go to the hospital. Over the last few weeks, I noticed the lump was slowly moving even further down my abdomen, which made me worry a little bit, but I thought it couldn't be too serious if I had no side effects, apart from a bigger appetite. One night I woke up in agony at around 2 a.m. I could feel something moving around in my stomach. I ran into the bathroom and locked the door, so not to freak Sarah out. When I looked in the mirror, I could see what looked like bubbles moving around the lump. The pain quickly got worse and worse. It was so bad I thought about ringing an ambulance. But as I sat on the toilet contemplating, I thought maybe I just needed to go to the toilet, so I tried to do my business. It was so weird. I had forgotten how exposed and vulnerable you feel sitting there. I don't know how I ever did that in a public bathroom. I sat there for the best part of an hour pushing and squeezing. It hurt so much. I had never been in that much pain in my life. Again, I thought about calling for help, but I was too embarrassed, and even if I did, what would I say? Please help, I haven't pooped in 3 years and forgotten how. I am sure that would go down well, I'd be laughed out of there all over again. No, thanks. After a while I started feeling pressure down there, and with one big push, I heard a splash. I was so relieved it was over, I cried with happiness. I had no intention of looking in there to see what had caused all that trouble, so I flushed while I was still sitting there. I then heard a screech, kind of like the sound a rabbit makes when it gets attacked, and felt water splashing under me. So, I jumped up and turned around just in time to see part of the creature getting washed down the drain. Even though I only saw the back end of the creature, it freaked the fuck out of me, not because it was this weird monstrous thing, no. It was because it looked somewhat familiar, almost human-like apart from the long lizard-like tail splashing around the toilet bowl. To make it worse, my girlfriend started banging on the door. When I finally opened it, she looked angry with me. She said she got really worried about me when she woke up and I was gone. I told her I had just had a bad stomach, but I don't think she believed me, because over the next few days she became very suspicious of me. After that my bowel movements became regular again, which took me a little bit of time to get used of, but at least everything was back to normal, I thought. Until I started hearing something moving around in the pipes at night. To make it worse, I am sure Sarah knows there is something up. She has been acting very weird.